Welcome back to the channel. My name's Prem. This is part 3. So today is engine rebuild day. So as you saw in the last episode, we've cleaned thoroughly and reconditioned certain parts. So all the bits and bobs are now cleaned and ready for assembly. So this is the part I do enjoy, is actually putting an engine back together once everything's ready. So I've got all the parts I need, gaskets. Yeah, let's build it up. So all the pistons have been cleaned, as I already showed you before. Yeah, they're absolutely clean, nice and clean. So all been decarbonized. All the bits in between, all the races here, everything's been cleaned. And new piston rings. First, what we're going to do is I'm going to show you installation of one set of rings, and I'll get all the rest done. And then after that, we'll switch over to the engine block and start putting it back together. Piston ring installation. So you do in reverse. You do the oil change on first, then the middle compression ring, and then the top compression ring. There's also direction on this one and a direction on this one. So it actually tells you. So the cut in this one here, that goes down. This one's actually etched in. I'll show you this one. There, you can see it there. Top. That's the top one. So the middle one, you can see from the profile. See the little cut, the little edge. That faces that way. And then the oil control, you've got the spring which lives inside. And if there we go, open it up, this bit when it goes on, actually let's put this one on, I'll show you. So this goes on first, and then squeeze that together. So we know that's on this side there. Yeah. Now, so the gap end on this one has to be 180 degrees away from it, so it would be on the other side there. Using our ring plier, gently spread it out and bring it across the top. And in it goes. There we go. Putting the block together, job number 1 is the rope seal. So this has been soaking in there for about, 2 hours now. So we're going to fit this in, trim it off, then the other half will go into the sump. So that rope seal lives in this bit here. That is where the crank sits. There's a flange on there, so I'm assuming the flange is there to make sure not too much oil's flung out from the bearing, so that's what's there. But yeah, we need to get the rope sealing first. As you can, in there, you can see that there's a little pin just there in the middle. So that sticks into the rope, therefore it just stops it, prevents it from spinning around. Way to fit this, it needs to sit slightly above the surface. So when you put the sump back on, it's got something to sort of push against and therefore seal, so you get no oil leaks. So I'm going to start from one end. So trying to keep it just above. Well, I might need to trim this after, but that's not an issue. Oh, that's too low. Okay, so we start working this in from here into the pin. So we need something smooth, so just a normal extension. So gently push it down. You can see the oil being pushed out from there. You see that there? So that's slightly above. That's where I want it to be. Right, to trim it, get yourself a really sharp knife, because you only got one chance at this. If you take too much off, you're done for. And then you don't want the rope to start unwinding before you even finished. So main bearings in the block. Next things to do is to get the bearings into the main caps. Make sure the surface is completely clean, no contaminants, dust or anything. Don't put oil on there either. I've seen people do that, never put oil on there, it has to be dry. And then we've got the other half of the bearings. Genuine Coupe and Schmidt. So these are OE providers, standard bearing size. I say standard on there. Yeah, you can just about see there. There you go. So pre-lube. Actually, right down the middle. Oh, and yes, it's very heavy. It's not like the new stuff, which is all hollowed out. This is old school. So we've already done the Plastigate check, so we know clearance is good. Putting these on, you can't go wrong. First of all, you've got the dowels. That's a small one, that's a big one. So the other tip is, if you don't have dowels, these little bits which are pushed out the bearing to make sure it doesn't spin, these always line up on the same side. So if I show you on that one, it's on this side where with the small pin, so these always line up the same side. So this one would go down like this. Main bearing bolt torque is 59 pound per feet or 80 Newton meters. So we'll start in the middle. There you go. Obviously with the pre-lube, It's got very little clearance in there now. But otherwise, yeah, perfect. We need some bearings, and I have managed to source with great difficulty some genuine KS bearings, which would have been OEM fitment from factory. So again, have to be careful of what we're doing, because the gudgeon pin, which is this, needs oil so it doesn't seize up when the piston is going up and down, up and down. So it's up and down, it moves around. And this hole here is what provides the oil from the crankshaft. And to do that, half of these bearings has a hole, which is that one. So again, make sure all the surfaces are clean. Give everything a nice wipe. All that. Make sure all the pins are all clean. So do that. So the one with the hole goes in the top side. There, that one. And then the normal one, plain, goes in the big end cap. These aren't rod bearings, they're big end bearings when in Rome. So there you have it. That's all it is. So when we put the piston in, when you're pushing it in gently, you've got to be mindful that that doesn't pop out. Guide this by hand, or if you've got those special tools with like plastic tongs we can screw onto here, and that then make sure you don't mark the crank. But we'll do this slowly. But there you go. We'll do that for all of them. Make sure don't mix these up again. These are all line board. Same with the big end caps. Sorry, the main bearing caps. There's an arrow which will tell you they're fitting in that way. And again, previously as I said, these little lugs here, they'll sit on the same side, so that'll be on like that, and I've put a mark here, a little punch, little dentation, number 1. So this is number 1 piston. Spray oil in the bore. Lots of oil. So again, make sure you get oil all over the rings as well. Don't worry, we'll do that because when we place this in. So there, gently. The end gaps are here. I always offset the top two by 180 degrees. So that one goes down. This one stays up. The oil one, I'd put to one side here. I'd want it at the thick end of the piston, not on the side. So I'll do it that way. Or bring this one across this way slightly. And the top one is here. That end up there, that one there, this one slightly off. Because it's an oil control ring. These are the top two ones, these are the most important, they're offset. So if any compression, you've got any blowback, it has to go all the way around that way, then that way. It's a long way around for the air to travel around it. Any pressure which goes out. Get that, open it up fully like this, slide it over the top, and then start ratcheting up. That's as far as it will go. Now, mallet. There we go. Pistons in. Keep hold the big end, and that's sitting right next to the crank. So done. So I need to pre-lube this cap up, put the little bolts, put the nuts on. That's number one done. 6-pot half short block put back together. One final thing to check before I talk the big ends is plastic gauge on the big ends, see what the gap is. So here's new bearings. There's that. And let me just tighten it down and I'll show you what the gap is. So big end bearing maximum running clearance is 0.08 millimeters. And what do we have here? That one. So it's that one, 0.05, maybe a touch over 0.05, but it's well within the 0.08 maximum clearance. Again, excellent, very good result. Same as the main bearings. Big end torque is between 30 to 37 pound per foot, or 41 to 50 Newton meters. So we're going to go down the middle. So we're going to aim for about 35, 36. No, actually that's not down the middle. So we're going to aim down the middle. Let's say 34. Next is the oil pump. So it goes back in. So that picks up with the shaft in there to turn it. 6mm Allen key. The 213s go on the caps. And I've also checked these 10mm, so that's now all locked together. The guide, the chain in. The chain is going around that gear. And I can see, you can hear it when I move it. So that's engaged. And obviously it's hanging down. Top tip, I'd do this before. I'd at least put that guide, plastic guide in first before you put the crank in. You got more space, a lot easier. So for silicon, I'll be using this stuff. So when you apply the silicon, apply a bead that goes around the inside. You can put it around to the outside if you want, it'll just get squashed out. Around the inside of the bolt hole, and then straight down, inside, straight down, inside, straight down. So you put a nice bead all the way around, and obviously a bit extra on the rope seal. And once that's all that done, let the silicon sit there for a moment. So it starts getting a bit air, starts sort of reacting with the air. Once that sort of, it's not that wet or soft, then place a sump on it. Silicon's on. So don't forget, put a bit on the rope seal. So when that binds together, that makes it perfect. So valve grinding or lapping, whatever you want to call it. Let's call it grinding. So all the valves have been, well, I've done the rest. There's only these two left, so I'll show you what I've done or how I do it. So all the valves have been cleaned. So there's the inlet. Yeah. And then here's your exhaust. Obviously the exhaust ones always look a bit more sorry because of the amount of heat they have to deal with. So that's all clean. Get yourself some grinding paste. So we'll use the coarse one first. Put a small amount, not much. Don't put too much on. So you got it on the edge, or the sealing edge. Okay, let's get this out of the way. And then go down. Get yourself a valve socket like this. Try to get it centered. There we go. As you can hear, as the coarse paste wears out, you can the tone changes. So I tend to put just a tiny bit, not too much, to compensate what's already been. There you go. Ground out. Well, this one's done. You got a very consistent grind on that, so there's no. I mean, we already checked the valves when we cleaned them. There wasn't any pitting in those, so these valves are still in good condition. Get the remainder of that coarse paste off, and then we switch sides on the container and we start putting the fine paste as before. Not too much, just enough. Just enough to sort of let it compound cut the seat and the valve together, so you get a perfect airtight seal. Well, as tight as possible, so it doesn't lose compression. And then don't forget, once this car's up and running, there you go. Even though it's a coarse paste, it's still doing this job. Really nice, fine. So you got a sealing surface there. So you got an edge there which is now sealed against the seat. Springs and collets. So these are your collets. So 2 of these per valve. Once they sit there against the valve like that, as they got an angle, they lock it in place. So what I tend to do is, because these are fiddly little things, I would normally put a bit of grease in there like that. So when I pick it up with a screwdriver, I can then drop it in place and then obviously take the spring compressor off, and that's it, it's fitted. So obviously you've got your spring seat here, these ones got bearings in, and then you've got your stem steel there. So the original stem seal, valve seat, here's your double springs. So this one will sit on the inside race like that. That one then sits around the outside, obviously like that. Now you got your top. Let's give this a wipe. So you've got your top, which goes there, and then you got your spring compressor. Compressing it there, and then winding it close. So shutting it down. So winding it up, So we got that top going past, okay, so we're making this space so we can get the collets through. Drop this in bottom half over to the side. There we go, that's in. Second one from the other side. Just check. Yeah, that's in. It's also it's in. Now if we let it go, slowly take it away. There you go, perfect. It's in. Yeah, check with the, because you got grease in there. Check it with the screwdriver. Yeah, that's perfectly sitting. Yep, that's in. Just swap it around and then do the final remaining exhaust valve, and head's built. It's a couple of days on, so I thought I'd get it properly dry and we put it back on the stand. There's the new chain. So I'm going to put the bottom sump on. There's a new gasket, but before I do that, I don't want to silicone seal it down. But there was a residue of sorts, so I thought I'd use this high tack gasket sealant. So this stuff never goes off. So I'll smear it across both surfaces. Here's the lower sump. That's a stain I can't get out. I've tried everything. The rest was still clean, but I can't get that stain off. But all the edges are clean, and there we go. Look at that. Cleaned all this up. It's been painted, so it looks all nice and neat. Both sides are now tacked. Yes. Line this up. Try and get it on my fingers, and then new hardware like last time. We'll torque these up 8 Newton meters. So something I've done. So we'll turn it around. Start thinking about fitting the cylinder head back on. So this is a genuine OEM set of gaskets. So let's get the head gasket out and then drop it on. Got 2 dowels here, so that's all fitted down. All the holes, everything matches up. So that's down on the valves. Next is the metal gasket for the camshaft carrier. Here we go. This is metal, by the way. Before we go any further, you remember this, the chain tensioner. So this is the original one. You see the part number. Anyway, it's not bad, but it's not great. I mean, it could carry on, but I don't want to do that. After everything I've done here, let's not skimp. And I know it's not a cheap part and it's not very readily available. So I managed, however, I went to the dealers, and guess what? We've managed to find one. Brand new. Original part. There, can you see it? There you go, Mercedes-Benz. So we drop it down. See the bottom hole where this goes through. That's in. And then with a hammer, gently see, change note. That is now bottomed out. And then just unscrew this bolt. There you are. Done. So far, we've put that guide in. We just put the tensioner in this side. So while we're here, we're going to put the small tension down here, and then we're also going to put this here, this what's it called, number 4, which is guide wheel. There you go. Second pin. I'm sorry. Second pin. There. The first pin there. Oh. That one's in. And you probably saw that little plastic clip. It's now snuck in, and it's sitting in that bit there, so it's lined up with the chain. Little tap. See, changes tone. Give this another wipe. There you go. That's now down on the dowels. That's flat all the way around. Right, I'm gonna assembly of this. So all the bolts have to go in first, and then the cams go in. Next we have the head bolts. So again, L-ring, gone for genuine ones. Where's the other one gone? So they are 2 sizes, big and short. That depends on where they go. So for this first stage, I've got to use my small torque wrench because the big one only starts at 50 and this is 30. So this one's number 1, where we are now. So there's 1, 2, 3, counting 4 back. So this is 30 pound per foot. That's number 1. This one's number 2. So that's stage 1. I'll get the other stages done, and then I'll move on to the smaller ones. All the small M8 ones are all tightened up. They're all torqued, excluding the 2 down there. Next thing, before I put the camshafts in, I'd like to put these adjustable lifters in. Once the cams are in, it's going to be difficult. All right, camshafts. Can't really go wrong because the bearings here, they're offset. So before we put anything in, a little squirt of oil. Engine. And we gently feed it through. That's it, nice and easy. Right, there we go. Right, we'll do the one in front. It's easier, doesn't matter which one. So you got this little cap. So the follower sits in there and pushes the valve down from here. So there's no physical contact with the valve from the follower. It's through this little cap. So we put that in place here. See the cams facing upwards. And if you remember from the first video, I took this out by using a spanner. We'll do the same principle again. So we'll lift it up and slide it over. Here you go, that's in. So in a cold engine, inlet has to be 0.1 mil, and then the exhaust, which obviously we'll do later, is 0.25. So the shiny one. Right. As we can see, that is tight. So hopefully this will help me and not fight me too much. A bit more. There. Perfect. Struggles in, but there's a bit of drag on the blade. And that's how we do that. So here's the damper. Cleaned it all up. You can even still see the part number through there. It's all been painted. And here's the pulley that goes in front. And we've got some new hardware. There. That's now set. There's no time marks. The time marks on the outside edge here. So the marks are on here. Nothing to do with this. So you can put this anywhere you like. And there. New bolt. There's a woodruff key in here. Just get this mark lined up with the woodruff. Let's get the sprocket back on. Front here, this one goes in spacer, and obviously then you got the Torx bolt, which then is torqued up, and that clamps the whole assembly together. So just take this out gently. Actually, it's not a Torx, it's a Allen key, but anyway, bolt's a bolt. Let's put a bit of pre-lube on this as well. Pre-lube on. There we go. That's in. Bolt. That goes in there. I could just nip it up, but obviously we're going to torque it once. The chain goes over the top that way, so this is going to go in this way. Pins at the holes at the front, and again when it goes in, it's got this pin in here, so it'll click into place, and it'll make sure it's in the correct place to run against the chain. So if it's bolt in there and just knock it in, and that will sit in its place as it's supposed to, and the chain goes over the top over this pulley. And we put this one on. An update on the timing. I was stuck on this for a while, so I took most of it apart, checked everything. There was nothing wrong with it. However, the only thing that stuck out was the plunger that sits through there. This, as you can see, there's a ring washer in there. So what happened to this? When I took this engine apart, this shot forward, and because there's a taper inside that in here, it wouldn't go back. So it stuck forward, so it would not come back. So I took the tensioner, all that out, and I pushed it from the outside just to see if it was stuck or anything, and boom, it came out. Luckily, I caught it before it actually fell down in the engine, then we would be in serious trouble. So yeah, that's come out now, and it's allowed me to time it all up. So there's the first timing mark, that one. Obviously, because it's not tension yet, so it's moving around. So that's the first one. Second one's over here. Again, this needs tensioning. That marker there, and then you got your TDC down here, your 0 to that pointer there. So now that we figured it out, what was wrong, now it's easy. So I'll put some tension on this, make sure these are in the correct place, put this back in. This time it won't shoot forward more than it actually needs to. So even if we do have to loosen it off, it's not going to get stuck as it was before. And therefore, if it was stuck, it would have permanently pushed the tensioner. It lives down there. It would have worn out prematurely, but that's not going to happen now. So let me get this fitted, and I'll show you the engine when it's all done. All follows are in, back clips, everything's on. Perfect. It's all lined up. Next, we're going to start building the front. So water pump housing, distributor will take this off, give it a clean, and we'll also fit there's a pin here for this chain guide. Next is the water pump housing. I'm going to use a bit of silicone on this one, just a smidge. Next is the thermostat housing. These are both replaced because these are corroded out. This is also corroded out, so all this is new. Well, second and new. You also need to jump the two here with a pipe. Obviously, I'll need to chop this. So what I'll do is I will measure this up. I'll bolt this down first, measure this, and then cut this, and we'll slide the pipe in before we do anything else. So I've got the length. It was 1 3/4 inch. So that's chopped now. Clamp that one. Again, this is slightly rough surface, so I will silicone this up, new gasket, and yeah, tighten the clamps. New relief pipe with new banjo bolts. New thermostat. Thermostat goes in first. Seal goes over second. And then the top housing. Genuine SKF water pump and new hardware. Let's just put one in. Next is the power steering pump. So I just need to figure out how these. I think I sort of figured out where they are. That one goes there, and this one, which is the adjustable bracket, will go around here somewhere. So let me figure this one out. And that's the power steering pump installed. Going to end part 3 here. So we've built up the engine, short block, head, valves, drivetrain, timing, which was an issue, but then I realized where it had gone wrong. That's all done. Cooling system, corroded parts. I've managed to get replacements. Again, it's taken weeks to get all this together. Managed to sort of recondition bits like pulleys, power steering pump. So yeah, it's coming together. So next one is going to be gearbox. So we'll get the gearbox out. We'll recondition that. After that, fuel injection side. So video number 5. So there's 3 items I'm going to recondition, which should then allow us this engine to run perfect. So thank you for watching. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. Follow me in this journey to getting this car back on the road. I'll see you in the next one.